Ever feel like you're walking on eggshells just waiting for the next
Yeah.
emotional explosion?
Yeah.
It's sadly the reality for so many people who are stuck in these toxic relationships.
Right.
But what's even crazier is that this kind of stress can actually rewire your brain.
It's true, and that's a point that's often missed.
Yeah.
The emotional turmoil actually translates into physical changes.
Wow.
It affects how your brain functions and even its structure.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be using the article Brain Games, How Toxic Relationships Hijack Your Mind,
Okay.
to deep dive into the neurological impacts of toxic relationships.
That's good.
We're going to be exploring which parts of the brain are most affected and how this impacts both our mental and physical health.
You know, one thing that's fascinating here is just how widespread this issue is.
Really?
The article mentions a really stark statistic.
Okay.
Almost 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men experience some form of intimate partner violence during their lifetime.
Wow.
So it goes way beyond just hurt feelings, you know? Right.
It's a major public health issue
Yeah.
with really long-term consequences.
That's a sobering thought.
It
To
is.
really bring this home, the article introduces us to Sarah.
Okay.
She's a fictional example,
Right.
but she illustrates the roller coaster that so many people in these situations experience.
I see.
So she's smart, she's driven,
Mm-hmm.
then she gets involved with this guy.
Okay.
He seems charming at first, but then turns out to be incredibly toxic.
Yeah.
It starts with that excitement and affection,
Right.
but then things spiral downwards and she's constantly on edge,
Yeah.
living in fear of her partner's unpredictable moods and just like outbursts.
Sarah's story, unfortunately, is a classic example of the cycle of intermittent reinforcement.
What does that mean?
So it's when you have these moments of kindness that are mixed with cruelty,
Oh, wow.
and that really keeps the victim off balance.
Oh, I see.
And it ends up fostering emotional dependence.
Yeah, wow.
And this back and forth makes it incredibly difficult to break free. So is that feeling of constantly being on edge, like always waiting for the other shoe to drop,
Yeah,
is that actually linked to changes in the brain?
absolutely.
Really?
The article explains how the amygdala, which is like the brain's fear center,
Yeah.
gets stuck in overdrive in these toxic situations.
Yeah.
The constant stress and emotional upheaval just keep it in a hyperactive state.
So it's not just a feeling like there's actually a physical change happening.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's why you feel constantly on high alert, like your brain can't escape that, that fight or flight mode.
Right.
What's concerning is that this state of alert can have lasting consequences.
Like what?
Increased anxiety, even panic attacks.
Oh, wow.
And just difficulty feeling safe even after leaving the relationship.
Before we go deeper, I just want to take a second to remind our listeners,
Okay.
if you're finding this deep dive insightful so far, please hit that like button and share this episode with someone who might benefit.
Yes, definitely.
We got a lot more ground to cover, so stick with us.
Yeah, and it's not just the amygdala that's impacted.
Okay.
The hippocampus, which is crucial for memory and emotional regulation,
Right.
also takes a hit.
Wait, seriously, what happens to the hippocampus?
The article explains that the chronic stress from these relationships can actually shrink the hippocampus.
Hold on, the brain actually shrinks.
So wild, right?
Yeah.
The culprit is cortisol, which is the stress hormone that floods your system when you're distressed.
Right.
Elevated cortisol levels over time can literally lead to a reduction in the size of the hippocampus.
Wow.
And this has a major impact on cognitive functions like learning and memory.
So here's where it gets really interesting, or maybe scary is the better word.
Yeah.
What are the actual consequences of a smaller hippocampus? How does this affect someone's life?
One of the most troubling effects is what's called abuse amnesia.
Abuse amnesia.
Yeah, so victims struggle to remember specific events clearly,
Wow.
or even the emotions tied to them.
It's almost like a fog descends on their memories.
Exactly. And this cognitive fog makes it much harder to process and recover from what happened.
Right.
It can even cloud their ability to recognize the abuse for what it was.
So not only are you dealing with the emotional fallout, but your brain is literally making it harder to remember and process the trauma.
Exactly.
That's heavy stuff.
It is.
And if you're feeling the weight of this, listeners,
Yeah.
remember to check out our show notes for additional resources.
Good idea.
We've got links to counseling services, helpful journals and workbooks,
Mm-hmm.
even free audiobook access to guide you on your healing journey.
That's great.
Now, this impact on the brain also manifests physically, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chronic stress doesn't just stay in your head.
Right.
It spills over into your body with real physical symptoms.
So what are some physical symptoms that someone might experience as a result of this stress?
Think insomnia.
Okay.
which robs you of precious rest and leaves you feeling drained.
Right.
Fatigue becomes this constant companion,
Yeah.
making it hard to focus or summon any energy. And then there's the physical tension.
Okay.
Muscle tension that feels like you're carrying a weight you can't put down.
Right.
Sometimes even manifesting as chronic pain
Right.
without a clear physical cause.
So your entire body becomes this battleground where the emotional turmoil is playing out.
That's a powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
The mind and body are deeply intertwined.
Yeah.
And what affects one inevitably affects the other.
Okay, we've covered some pretty intense territory here.
We have.
But I'm holding on to hope
Yeah.
that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Is there a path to healing from all of this? Can the brain actually recover?
Absolutely, there's hope.
Okay.
It's not an easy path, and it takes time,
Right.
but recovery is definitely possible. The
Right.
brain is amazingly adaptable
Yeah.
and has a powerful capacity for healing. It really is, and it takes time.
So what does that path to healing look like? What can people actually do to start recovering from the trauma of a toxic relationship?
Well, the article outlines several strategies, and it really emphasizes that it's a multifaceted approach.
Right.
No single magic bullet.
Right.
It's about different strategies working together.
So where do we even begin?
Well, therapy is often a crucial first step.
Okay.
Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT for short, can be particularly effective.
Okay.
It gives people the tools to reframe negative thought patterns
Right.
and develop healthier ways of coping.
Okay.
It helps break those ingrained cycles of thinking that just keep us stuck.
So with CBT, you're essentially retraining your brain to respond differently to triggers in challenging situations.
Exactly.
Right.
Imagine someone who constantly anticipates criticism,
Right.
always bracing themselves for the worst.
Yeah.
CBT helps them identify that thought pattern and challenge its validity.
Okay.
They learn to replace it with more positive self-talk,
Right.
building a more resilient mindset.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And what about EMDR? The article mentions that as well, right?
Yes, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Or EMDR is another powerful therapeutic approach.
Okay.
It's specifically designed to help process traumatic memories,
Okay.
reducing their emotional intensity and helping people move past them.
I can see how that would be especially helpful for people who are struggling with the abuse amnesia that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
If your brain is making it harder to remember the details of what happened,
right.
it must be even more challenging to work through those experiences.
Absolutely.
But are there things that people can do outside of therapy?
Yes.
Things they can incorporate into their daily lives to support their healing?
Absolutely. Mindfulness and relaxation techniques can be incredibly powerful.
Okay.
Meditation, for example, creates a sanctuary for the mind.
Oh, I like that.
It calms that overactive amygdala and fosters a sense of peace, even amidst all the chaos.
I love that idea, a sanctuary for the mind.
Yeah.
I found meditation to be so helpful in my own life. It's amazing how just a few minutes of focused breathing can shift your whole energy.
Absolutely.
So what are some other practices that can help?
Deep breathing exercises are another great tool.
Okay.
They activate the body's relaxation response,
Okay.
counteracting the effects of stress with each inhale and exhale.
It's like hitting the reset button on your nervous system.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
And then there's yoga, which combines physical movement with mindfulness.
Okay.
It's a holistic practice that promotes emotional regulation while strengthening both your body and mind.
We talked a lot about professional help and self-care practices,
Right.
but I imagine having a strong support system is crucial in this process as well, wouldn't you say?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Building a robust support network is essential.
Okay.
Support groups, for instance, offer a safe and understanding space where people can share their experiences
Right.
and connect with others who truly get it.
It's that feeling of shared understanding.
Exactly.
Knowing you're not alone.
Yeah.
That can be so powerful. When you've been through something as isolating as a toxic relationship,
Right.
having that validation from others who've walked a similar path
Yeah.
can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And of course, professional support from therapists or counselors who specialize in trauma recovery can provide personalized guidance and support.
Right.
Having that expert perspective and a tailored approach can be incredibly valuable.
It sounds like seeking help is a major part of the healing process.
It is.
Whether it's from a therapist or a support group or even trusted friends and family,
Yes.
you don't have to go through this alone.
Right.
Are there other things that can help? Like lifestyle changes, maybe?
You're on the right track. Lifestyle changes play a big role in recovery.
So what kind of lifestyle changes are we talking about? Give us the specifics.
Think about the basics. Regular exercise,
Okay.
a balanced diet,
Mm-hmm.
and sufficient sleep.
Yes.
These might seem simple,
Right.
but they have a profound impact on both your physical and mental well-being.
I'm always preaching about the importance of sleep.
Me too.
It's amazing how restorative a good night's sleep can be.
It really is.
And exercise, and it can be hard to get motivated when you're feeling down,
Yeah.
but it really does wonders for lifting your mood.
Exactly. Exercise isn't just about physical fitness.
Right.
It's a powerful antidote to stress.
Yeah.
It releases endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that elevate mood and boost resilience.
And a balanced diet fuels your brain and body,
Right.
giving you the energy you need to cope with challenges.
Exactly.
It's amazing how interconnected it all is, isn't it?
Absolutely. And speaking of connection, the article also highlights journaling as a valuable tool for healing,
Okay.
writing about your experiences, getting those thoughts and feelings out on paper
Yeah.
can help you process emotions and gain self-awareness.
I find journaling to be so helpful for untangling my own thoughts and feelings.
Me too.
Sometimes it's hard to articulate those complex emotions,
Right.
but putting them down on paper somehow makes them more manageable.
I agree. And sometimes just the act of writing can be cathartic in itself. It's
Yeah.
like you're releasing those pent-up emotions,
Right, yeah.
giving them a place to go rather than keeping them bottled up inside.
And as you reread your journal entries over time,
Yeah.
you might start to notice patterns in your thoughts and behaviors.
Exactly.
That kind of self-awareness can be so insightful, can it?
It really can. It helps you make more conscious choices about your relationships and your life in general.
Yeah.
And before we move on, I think it's important to acknowledge that this is a lot to take in.
It is.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
If you're resonating with this, listeners,
Right.
please know that you're not alone and there is help available.
Yes, absolutely. If you're feeling overwhelmed, please reach out to a mental health professional or use some of the resources we've linked in the show notes.
Good idea.
There are people who care and they want to help.
Exactly.
And for everyone listening, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating deep dives into a variety of topics.
Yes, please do.
We release new episodes every week, so there's always something new to discover.
Absolutely.
You can also find us on all the major podcast platforms.
We are.
Now back to the topic at hand.
Okay.
Understanding the neurological impact of toxic relationships is a huge step towards healing and building resilience, wouldn't you say?
It really is. It's about empowering ourselves with knowledge.
Yeah.
When we understand how these experiences affect us, not just emotionally, but on a neurological level, we can start to make different choices and set healthier boundaries.
It's like now that you see the inner workings, the actual impact on your brain, you can't unsee it.
Right.
It raises the stakes somehow.
Exactly. And that awareness can be a catalyst for change.
Yeah.
Recognizing those red flags early on, having the courage to walk away from situations that are harming you,
Right.
it all starts with understanding the dynamics at play.
And this whole conversation has really highlighted how important self-care is, wouldn't you say? Not in like a pampering kind of way,
Right.
but in a truly understanding what your mind and body need to heal and thrive.
Absolutely. Building healthy relationships starts with a healthy relationship with yourself. Self-awareness, self-compassion, making self-care a priority.
Right.
Those are the foundations for creating fulfilling and supportive connections with others.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's not selfish to prioritize your own well-being. It's actually essential.
it is.
It equips you to navigate the complexities of relationships and create a life that truly nourishes you, mind, body, and soul.
Could have said it better myself.
Mm-hmm.
So as we wrap up, I'm curious, what stood out to you most from this deep dive?
Honestly, the sheer interconnectedness of it all is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
How our experiences, emotions, thoughts, even our physical health are all woven together.
Right.
It's a complex web.
It is.
And when one thread gets pulled, the whole system is affected.
But the flip side is that positive changes in one area can ripple out and have positive effects on the whole system.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah. It's a reminder that even small steps towards self-care can make a big difference.
So true. So listeners, we encourage you to take a moment and reflect what resonated with you today. What insight stuck with you?
Yeah.
And what small action, even just one tiny thing, can you do today to move towards healing and growth?
You have the power to choose healthier relationships and create a life that feels safe and fulfilling. And please don't hesitate to seek support if you need it.
Yeah.
You don't have to navigate this journey alone.
Right.
We've included some helpful links in the show